maybe. Mhm. So now we're live. They can see us and hear us.
Yeah. Yes, it's being documented now.
Yeah. I usually make the joke of like, we have to behave because now it's all evidence. And I feel like it's even more appropriate now given like your previous career, Jaclyn. So it's like, have to behave now. We can't.
I'm the worst of them all. Don't let that fool you.
I'm excited though, and was pleasantly surprised when you were able to fill in with us tonight because I'm like, she is so busy. There is no way that she's going to be able to be like, yeah, I can do it. And when you're like,
Yep, no. I got out of work early. I said I'm getting on.
awesome. Few minutes for our friends to pop in, and I have to go over here and tell Twitch like what the updated thing is because it doesn't update with StreamYard for some silly reason. Um, but yeah, I like
Yeah.
taking care of cold cases and the woo woo stuff. Like, I can probably talk your ear off for hours, or actually have you talk for hours, and I just sit there and listen. Like, tell me
Don't get me going. Most people are like, okay, please, someone shut her up. Where's her off button?
more. Chair, hey, chair.
Hi.
You, hun. Um, so, welcome everybody to another episode of the Healer's Corner, and we have a very fun special guest with us tonight, Jaclyn, who is one of the co-founders of Forsaken Souls. And when I heard about you and Forsaken Souls, I was so elated. I'm like, cold case, true crime, and paranormal stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm in. So
Yeah, it becomes addictive. That is for sure.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you, got into then Forsaken Souls and informed it?
Yeah. So I started my paranormal journey as a child, growing up in a very malevolent home. As a kid, I quickly learned there were things beyond our naked eye that just didn't make sense. And while the rest of my brothers and sister were terrified, I was kind of like, oh, what is this? I need to figure this out. So I quickly grew quite a passion for it. As I got older, I never got away from it. I actually leaned into it more. So I joined my first paranormal team at 17 years old, while I was also going to college for law enforcement. And as my career sort of evolved, I always say I've been investigating paranormal since back when you didn't tell people you were investigating paranormal because you get like locked up for being crazy. Um, and then going into my career, it was even more taboo. You just didn't say anything like that, especially in the field. There were very few people that would ever speak about anything paranormal because, in law enforcement or in any kind of investigative field or even security, it's very black and white. You either did it or you didn't. There's evidence or there's not. There is no kind of in the middle, right? So for me, knowing kind of both sides of the coin, it was something that I kind of would bounce both areas of expertise off each other. Use a lot of my investigative tools from my career in the field for paranormal and vice versa. Um, After about 12 years in the field, I said, how can I combine both of these passions that I have to where I can do something good? And that's when I founded Forsaken Souls, and decided I'm going to try to solve cold case murders by not only reinvestigating the crime, but seeing if I can make contact with the victim and see what we can figure out. I did it for years with just myself, and then I officially formed Forsaken Souls in 2017. And me and my partner kind of just went around doing it by ourselves for a long time. And then we met Irene, our psychic medium, our original psychic medium. And it was kind of like the three of us were the three musketeers. We hit it off. And as soon as people started realizing what we were doing, we were getting letters from all over the country. My family's, got a missing person or cold case murder we want you to investigate. And we quickly realized how many lives we can change by bringing those two together. And then one thing led to another, and it was like, we have tons of cases and not enough time anymore. So, um, being able to take both of my passions and combine them and do something good is one thing. But that feeling you get when a family member says to you, I can't thank you enough for bringing me closure, there are no words to express that feeling. There is a very near and dear, one of my very first cases that I ever investigated, that we were not only able to uncover the person that murdered the victim, but also uncover a whole nother crime in the midst of it. I still am in contact with all of my families that I've worked with till this day. And I always would tell my families, until we solve that crime, until we give you something that brings you peace, we won't stop. I've got cases that are, at this point over 10 years old that we're still looking into. And I think that kind of brings a little bit of closeness. I've become friends with some of these families. I've become friends with some of the victims' family members that I consider dear friends today. It's a incredible feeling when you can change someone's life for the better and give them a little bit of peace in your heart. And so it became a mission when we realized just how many families are out there that need help, how many families have been turned away by law enforcement, or their crimes or missing persons have fallen through the cracks and nobody's doing anything. So that's where we kind of said we're gonna just keep at this, and wherever it takes us, it takes us. And if we can solve one case, I'll take one case and I'll be happy.
Mhm.
But to date, we've solved more than a case, and we still have a very active case log going. So
What made you decide to be like, we should make a show?
actually, I didn't decide that. I was approached by a streaming network that said, "Hey, would you mind if we made a show about you? We think this is incredible. This has never really been done before." And at first, I was like, "No." It's a very private thing. At the same time, you'd want to give these
Mm,
families their privacy and their confidentiality, and be respectful of that, because the one thing I always tell my team is this isn't just like going out to a haunted location and going in and investigating ghosts, right? This is a whole nother aspect of people's lives. This is the worst moment in their life, and
Mm.
they're putting their trust in you. um,
mhm,
However, that being said, when I realized this was a way to get us out there more from a national standpoint to be able to reach more cases, I changed my mind and I said, if I can reach more families by turning this into a show and documenting what we're doing, and this can take our mission farther, that's when I agreed to do it. So it was worth it. It's definitely worth it.
No, it's not quite released yet. So when might we
Correct.
be able
mhm.
to watch these?
We are refilming the pilot episode February, last week of February, and then we'll be filming a pilot or an episode to two episodes each month, and the goal is to get it released for summer, to between summer and fall of 26.
Okay. So not that long.
No, not that
Mhm.
long, not that long.
Um, you're talking about all your cases, and I'm a true crime fanatic, and I think I was just watching something, I think it was called, like, The Murder Book, and they're talking about, like, their books.
Oh
Like,
yes.
do you have something similar now that
Oh
as a
yes.
civilian that you keep with all of your stuff in it?
Yeah, actually every um, murder case that the police investigate, a murder book is created. So the murder book is actually created within the detectives that are doing the initial case investigation. And it's basically a binder with every bit of that case file in it, from crime scene photos, autopsy photos, witness statements, specialist reports, coroner reports, everything you can get from that case is in that book. Most people can't get their hands on that.
Mhm.
However, comma, we have been able to for our cases. So we do have quite a few episodes that will show, pieces of the murder books in our episodes.
I was gonna say, I think, Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Your past experience, you know how to get through that red tape or how, what forms to file, what to be like, no, that was a BS response of no, here's why you need to give it to me.
Yeah, and I'm also a licensed private investigator, so I have a little bit more room with that as well. So between the two, we've been successful. Although I've been kicked right out the door by many police departments as well. So believe me when I tell you, I've had my fair share of having doors slammed in my face.
Maria, do you have questions? So I can hog Jaclyn all out.
Yeah, well, you pretty much asked because I was like, how can she get a hold of these murder books? This is something that it's the police officers, but you just pretty much explained that. So, do you let the family know that this is going to, if they are given the permission to have the case aired
Yeah, with
in the
every
show?
case, yeah, with every case that we have, we don't do anything until we do a full intake with the family, get full agreement to represent them as investigators. We disclose everything. We don't keep anything from them, and before anything goes to air, we always review it with the family as well. A lot of families can access the murder book once the case goes cold, so they've a lot of the families have already seen the murder books to their loved ones file, so it's not as much of a shock when you're reinvestigating everything, but we
Hmm.
don't do anything without getting full permission from the family, getting them to sign releases and appearance releases, both to protect them and ourselves.
Okay. Okay. Another thing into the woo stuff. Um, you said that you have your gifts that came in when you were a child. That this was something that was really fascinated you. So, do you use your gifts when you go in to do the investigation? And does the spirit of that person, that victim, talk to you?
It's very funny. I have a incredible gift of almost like dream walking. I call it my dream walking, right? So I have spirits that come to me in my sleep all the time. And then between what I learned from reinvestigating cases as a from a criminal standpoint, kind of allows me to have a little bit of a leg up, me and the team, a leg up to kind of know which avenue to take it from a paranormal standpoint.
Mhm.
I have had incredible audio captures. We use a remarkable tool that we refer to as our portal. We've had spirit come through in 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 the actual voice of the victim. It is mind-boggling to hear these voices, not like you're using kind of an SB7 spirit box. I mean, literally their voice, what they sound like when they were alive. And then in addition to that, we've not only have myself had, with the naked ear, our spirits talk to us, but our psychic mediums, we have two, both Greg Nichols and Irene, have had incredible responses with spirits. So we kind of, the four of us and then our investigators, we kind of become a beacon all together. There's so many times where when I'm with Irene, spirit becomes 10 times more strong and prominent, or they'll follow us around for weeks before we even go to locations. Irene will call me up and say, "Hey, I have someone sitting in my living room. I don't know if this means anything to you," because we don't disclose any case information to our psychic mediums whatsoever. They know nothing about where they're going. They know nothing about the case they're going to be investigating. Every bit of it is 100% shock and awe, live recording the first time and only that time. Um, and I've had several cases where she'll call me and be like, "I have this person in my living room and they're saying this." And I'm sitting there like, "Oh boy, that's our victim." That's our victim, like already talking to you 2 weeks before we're heading to location to film. So spirit is incredible. When they want to be heard, they will find any which way to make it happen, whether it's in my dreams, whether it's in Greg or Irene's ear, or whether they're throwing something around the room. They have a way to make themselves known. So you will be shocked at what you see in our episodes.
Have you had a spirit come to you first before the family?
Yes. In fact, just recently, we had a spirit. there was a case that I was going to look into. The family's attorney advised against it. They didn't want any paranormal ties to the case at all.
Mhm.
So they shut us down immediately, which is fine. That happens.
Mhm.
We understand that not everybody gets the paranormal side to it. Um, since that family has turned us away, that spirit has shown up to us at breakfast, at Cracker Barrel, um, at events that we've been at. She tends to follow us around. She's come through on our portal. The person that was killed with her has also come through. It's almost like she is begging for us to figure out how to make her family agree to let us investigate. And it breaks my heart because I won't take a case unless the family agrees to it. I just won't do it as much as it kills me inside. But we've had spirits come to us before even their family asks for our help. And it's led me to cases and there are cases I've reached out to families and said, hey, I'm aware of your case. I'd like to see if I can help you. Um, and so we have two cases in season one that actually ended up like that.
So you said the other person that was killed with her has also come through. Have you tried reaching out to that family as like
Mhm.
maybe a backdoor into the first one?
I have not been able to find any family info on this individual at the time of their murder, which is going back like 27 years. Um, there was no documentation on family. There was one living relative who's no longer alive. So,
Oh man, I was
yeah.
hoping. You were like, yeah, it's
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
open right now.
Yeah. Yeah. She comes through quite often. Quite often.
Oh.
Well, maybe after the series starts airing, and hopefully if they watch it, they'll see it and be like, we've changed our mind.
And that is true. We've had just from Aaron, promos and reels, we've been able to get our mission out there and had families that didn't know about us before come forward, and then also families that weren't too keen on it at first come back towards us. Right now I've got over 132 cases where people have reached out to us for help, and sadly a lot of them are like Midwest, West Coast, which is one of the biggest reasons why we started to try and raise money to be able to go farther and help more families. Um, it's heartbreaking to see how
Mhm.
many families out there need help, need somebody to just be that beacon for them.
Part of me, right? You hear about the armchair detectives, the internet sleuths. Do you have like somewhere on a website or something like here's what we're investigating. We've hit some roadblocks, and just let Joe Schmo, who's up at 3 a.m. with insomnia go, you know what? Let me do some Googling and, see who and what we can find.
Not for the cases that we are documenting for the show, simply because of the releases that we have to have to be able to include people in the investigation. That being said, prior to it ever becoming the idea of a show, when it was just me and my partner, we would tap into any avenue we could to get information. I have many times knocked on random doors for help. In fact, there was a one case that we were investigating, and I randomly knocked on the people's door and said, "Hey, listen, I know this is very bizarre, but I need to borrow your house for a night because a murder took place here and I need to get into this building." And they just looked at me like, "Excuse me, what did you just say to me?" I'm like, "I just need to get my medium in here for like an hour. Just give me an hour. I'll send you out to lunch." They're just like, "Excuse me." So we've had some more than adventurous and outside the box ways of trying to get information for sure.
I'd be like, yeah, so I'm actually kind of hungry and I want to steak. So
Yeah, I believe me. It's we've had some really interesting bloopers occur on our cases, including being chased away by priests. And um, I could tell you stories for days about some of the things that have happened. And we used to work prior to getting into the cold case thing. We did a lot of house calls and dark entity cases where people will call us for not so nice things in their home. And once we got into cold cases, I had a priest that contacted me and said, "You need to let these spirits rest. You're upsetting them." And I'm like, "Father, how would you know that? How would you know that?" So we not everybody gets it, not everybody agrees with it, but that being said, we have also grown quite a huge following, and our support system has grown rapidly and nationally. And it means the world to us, because if we can just get one more case under our, one more family to help, if it's one more positive note, whatever we have to do to help as many people as we can, we're not stopping anytime soon. So whatever we need to do to get there.
Now you mentioned your support system. Do you have like the energetic healers to help either the land, the spirit, the family if they're open to it, and like counseling if needed to help not only the family, but I'm sure you guys have run into some information, and after viewing and reading over and over, it can take a toll.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, we do. Not only do we have healers that we work with, but also we have access. So I have quite a few different consultants that work with us, retired FBI agents, consultants that are for news stations, and also psychologists that are available to families that need to speak, that need to kind of heal from reopening the cases.
Mhm.
Um, we have cases that are super, super old, and cases that are, 10 years old or 8 years old. And one thing I've learned is it doesn't matter how much time passes. That is one very important part of that journey, is the healing process to help both spirit and family move forward.
Let's see. Maria, do you have questions again? Because I'm sitting here chatting her ear off. Just like, tell me more.
do you do, do you guys gather together before you go into a case? Some kind of protection, some kind of a prayer, some kind of affirmations. Everyone has their own little role, but do you guys come together as a collective? Just to the energy before you go in
Yes.
there. You know.
Yep. Before we go into every case, I always will start out with kind of a white light prayer, as well as um, cleansing. In addition to cleansing ourselves, we also cleanse our equipment, because I've had some insane things happen there. But yeah, we always make sure that we protect ourselves, and do full cleansings both before and after. Um, Quite a few of the team members have several different blessing prayers that we do before investigations.
Nice. Now, are you
Mhm.
noticing as time goes on that some of law enforcement are a little more open to the psychics helping than maybe years ago? When they're like, you guys
Absolutely.
are crazy, go away.
Absolutely. Um, I would say 6 years ago or more, um, I was I was very quiet about what we were doing, because I was afraid to upset the departments that we were reinvestigating the cases. I was afraid to put a stigma on us. But as time went on, the more we showed people what we did, the more we let people in on what we were doing instead of keeping it so private, um, more people came around. In fact, we had a police department that initially wanted nothing to do with us. And my FBI consultant said, "Let me ask you a question. This case is 27 years old." He says, "I spent 42 years in the FBI. There's nobody that gets it more than me. But if they lead you to the evidence you need to close this case, what do you care where it came from? What do you care?" And you kind of saw his eyes light up, and he was just like, "All right, fine. I'll hear you out." Um, Not everybody's going to get it. Not every police department's going to want to work with us. And when we do uncover things like in our pilot episode, Our pilot case, we uncovered stuff that they didn't have. They kind of took it as a slap in the face, and that's not what we're trying to do by any means. I've always, even in my career, the more people that I've been able to reach out to for help, the more avenues I can go. It's not. I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for families and other people. I will take help from anybody, anywhere to solve a case. Um, and kind of having to explain it from that aspect has seemed to open more doors. I don't ever expect everybody to just, flip a switch and be 100% okay with it. There's a lot of people that are involved with cold case investigations that do just cold case investigations that think psychic mediums and paranormal are complete taboo. Um, that being said, there are a lot of families that have no one else to help them, and we are their last resort. And in that sense, I kind of go into the I don't care what anybody thinks mode, because I'm not there for anybody else. I'm there for the families.
Mm. Now, you mentioned a piece of equipment that you refer to as a portal. Do you have like certain pieces that if you're willing to share, like we always have this never fails. This piece over here is great for, voice recording. This is great for pictures because we're getting some questions in the audience of like, hey, what's a list of equipment?
Yes. So our portal is our bread and butter. Anybody that's followed us knows exactly what I'm referring to. It tends to captivate people. It is quite literally the most incredible piece of equipment I've ever used in 27 years of investigating. Can't tell you how it works. I'm not the builder of it, but I can tell you this: when you hear spirits coming through there in Arabic, Mandarin, British accents, American accents, and you are listening to them say things to you that quite literally should not be coming out of anything. And
Mm.
it's not hooked up to the internet and it is not hooked up to a radio. And you have no clue how this is happening. You get to a point where you're like, I can't debunk this. When they start saying things like your name and saying, repeating what you did 3 hours ago before you were investigating, there is no way to explain it. If you get into like our TikTok page or our Facebook reels, you'll see us using it. It is incredible. We always use the portal on every investigation when we do our paranormal sweep before we bring our psychic mediums in, to do our baseline investigation. We have some other pieces of equipment that we absolutely love as our go-to. We have Rob and Marie Murphy are our paranormal equipment builders. They are inventors. They make the best equipment. So a lot of pieces are custom built. Um, we have one item that he created. It's called a trigger tray. It is absolutely brilliant. And then we use some of the old school stuff. We use, REM pods. We have our flux device, or we have a couple different, tripwire pieces. We have quite an arsenal of equipment, and sometimes we use the most basic things like a flashlight. Whatever. I sometimes find that there are spirits that have their own preference. They might hit on one device and touch not one of the other pieces of equipment that you think would be the best way to communicate. So we kind of never know what we're going to get when we go in. So we roll up with 25 cases of equipment, and whatever works, works. But the portal is always on at all times.
Now you mentioned your TikTok and everything. So what is the name of your like social media so our friends can go find you and watch and support and watch episodes later?
Yeah, so we have our Instagram and our TikTok are Forsaken Souls underscore PRG. You can also find it by just typing in Jaclyn Loren. It comes up either way. We have two Facebook pages. One is our fan page group that's private, and one is our public group. Speaking for the Silent is one group, and then Forsaken Souls Paranormal Research is a second group. And then my Facebook page at Jaclyn Loren. And we also recently just put together YouTube to kind of start airing pieces of our reels from filming. So hoping to get that off the ground a little bit more as we start filming more episodes.
So another question is like, do you ever get scared that if you give police information that it's just too good that you might become a suspect?
No, but I have had cases where um, there are criminals that are still walking this earth and have made threats. That is the only thing that has ever, I don't want to say scared, but I'm very cautious about it. Um, I had to turn one case away because it was, as I started investigating more of the criminal case, I realized very quickly that this was going to put the team in danger if I continued on. And so I had to back away from that case for the simple fact that this involved far too many active gang members to that I was not willing to put them at risk. So there are cases that cause me to be very cautious, and sadly, I will never put my team or the families at risk. So I have had to turn cases away because of it.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't get scared of the spirit side of it.
Is there a case that still haunts you?
Yeah.
Many cases. Um, every case that I haven't been able to solve still haunts me, because I feel guilty in a way. I refuse to believe there's not something out there. There's a lot of people that sometimes don't even know they know something. And that's why it's so important to continue to keep releasing information and keep finding more avenues and keep investigating, because sometimes it's just one lead that someone may not know they know until you might say the right trigger or help them remember, that key piece of information that we're like, wait a minute, I saw something strange that day. Maybe this will help. Um, there's not one case that I have taken on that I don't sit and keep right here at all times, because it's heartbreaking, dealing with families and working on a case for a year or 2 years and still having nothing more, because sometimes cases are just too old, or anybody that was around is no longer here, or certain departments aren't willing to give you that little bit that you need to help them. um, it's kind of a game of Russian roulette at times.
You
The
know,
cases, go
oh,
ahead.
no, go ahead. I was just filling.
Okay. The cases that you are not going to risk yourself and your group, do you tell the family why you cannot continue on or why you have to back away from it?
Yeah.
Because, I'm pretty sure that's a very hard thing to do, because these people were looking up to you and your team to help, them figure out, to get the unanswered answers. So,
Yeah. I'm very, very upfront with all of our families. I personally don't ever stop looking into cases, but there are a handful of cases that I've said I'm not going to put this um, on the show, or I'm not going to have the team involved, because if it's me, that's one thing, but I can't do that. I can't put anybody else in that kind of danger. And I am upfront with the families about that, and it is hard, but they also understand too, because that's also part of the reason why the case isn't solved.
What are the, I guess, like, percentages right now? Now it's like, how many of the past victims, your spirit, know who did it versus the ones who are like, I don't know, they hit me from behind. I've got nothing for you, but please help.
To date, every spirit that our psychic mediums have connected with, or that my partner and I have connected with, knows knows who did it. One case blew my doors in, because spirit actually showed our psychic medium what happened through him. So she was seeing it out of his eyes as he was being killed. Um, that I mean, I was frozen. I was frozen in like time. I just couldn't move. Listening to her recount what he was going through broke my heart at the same time. shook me, shook me, because to know certain parts of the case that she doesn't know and to hear him saying it through her, that's a hard thing to wrap your head around when it's happening in real time. I've had quite a few moments where I'm just like frozen, just blown away. Um, every case that we have to date investigated with my psychic mediums, I have been able to identify one way or another a subject involved. We have one case where she wasn't 100% sure who did it, but she knew who kidnapped her, and she knew who put her in a trunk. Um, it's mind blowing when you hear names or you're getting names and you're like, this is showing up in my criminal investigation as somebody that is just in this case file that nobody's looking at. We had a case where it involved a police officer. And this is me as a retired law enforcement person saying, like, that happens. There are cover ups, there are mishandling of cases, and it's heartbreaking. But that's the point of us doing this, is to get that truth out there.
That would just drive me insane for the victim to be like, it was Joe Bob.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't just walk into the police department and be like, hey, Joe Bob killed Mary because she said so. We're like, get out of my office,
Yeah, which is why we do the criminal investigation first, to try and uncover something to tie into the paranormal side. So when you're going there and going, okay, how about this? Here's this. You've got no excuse now. Do what you need to do with this.
Mm-hmm.
Not every case, I mean, we are fully aware we aren't going to solve half the cases because some of them are just too old, sadly. Or you can solve it, but the killer's no longer alive. But even being able to sit down in the end with the family, and we allow our victims' families to meet with our psychic mediums and allow them to speak to their loved one and communicate with them. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes just having that kind of last conversation is enough. But at the end of the day, we are going to keep investigating till we uncover something. I don't care if it takes me 15 years working on one case. Show or no show. This isn't, it's not something that exists because of the show. It's something that we are doing long before, and we will continue doing long after.
So we have thank yous from our friends for the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Question is, if you discover evidence via spirit, is that admissible in court? And I think that might be a catch.
No.
You can't just say because the ghost said. You have to be like,
right.
Actually, we ran the DNA, we pulled the prints, we re-examined. You can't say because the ghost said so.
Right. That is correct. That being said, we have had cases where spirit has come forward, led our investigators or our psychic mediums to things that police didn't know. And that kind of opens that door to be able to uncover just enough to make it admissible. We uncovered like I was saying, our pilot episode, we uncovered a whole second murder in our pilot episode because of one piece of information that led us somewhere that the police weren't onto. It's pretty incredible how loud spirit gets when they're like, I know you're listening.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty incredible.
Now, do any of the families, knowing that you have psychic mediums working with you guys, do they request to have like a mediumship session with their loved one before the closing of the case, or before maybe that spirit crosses over as like a final, like, I didn't get to say goodbye, so I get to say it now?
Most have requested it. The few that didn't, I've always offered it, and I let them know up front, if you are interested, you have that opportunity. But most are very eager to sit down and kind of have that, like, that last piece of
Mm-hmm.
their family member, that a lot of these families have never had any kind of relation to anything paranormal ever. They've always just kind of gone the cold case investigative route. And we've had families where we've introduced them to this side of it, and it's given them kind of hope, and it's given them pep in their step, and like, hey, there's a chance here to make something happen. And sometimes that's enough. Giving them hope is enough.
Mm. It is like so sweet. It's like you get the whole like true crime and the thrill of that, and then the edge of your seat paranormal. But the fact that there's closure for the family, when the case is solved, the spirit is finally can rest, that they're not having to be like, would somebody please just listen to me? Because Joe Bob's right over there and
Mm-hmm.
he's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
How do you guys, like, when it's said and done, how do you like release that and that stress, that tension, like having that leave the body then? Because it's not just psychological, like you hold that in the body, the tension, how are you
But
caring for yourselves at the end?
yeah.
For me personally, there's not been a case yet where I haven't come home and just hugged my kids and spent time with my family. I feel that's kind of like my way of dealing with it. When we leave a case, you'll hear police say, when I go home, the case never leaves me, and it's true. It doesn't. For me, that it never does. Um, they're always, like I said, they're always up here. But I get that kind of peace in my heart when I know I've done, even if it's just a small sliver of something to help families. And, I take that home to my family, and I'm like, very grateful for the time that I have with them, because life is too damn short and it's gone in the blink of an eye. And
Mm-hmm.
and for me, that's kind of my closure. Um, I feel like most of my team finds that in all their loved ones, and then us as a team, as a unit. Um, it is a surreal experience to be able to share that with people when you've made that difference. Um, it feels good. It's an inexplainable feeling, but it's rewarding in itself. So that in itself is kind of a release in that aspect.
I'm assuming that the grief of first losing their loved one, but to have that closure, it's like a second grief, but it's a more healing type of grief because now you have somewhere to place it and it's not just lingering all the time, without the answers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've had several family members say to me, I just want to lay my head down at night and not think about this for one night. Um, and then after they've been able to speak with their loved one, they're like, I got the best sleep of my life last night. I have one particular family where she says, from the day that I spoke to my husband, I have been able to go to bed at night peacefully. Um, Even if we don't solve the case, just being able to give them that ability to sit down and speak to their loved one means so much to them. Because again, I say, like, a lot of people that have had missing person or murders take place for their, in their loved one's life, they don't go the psychic medium paranormal route. Most don't even ever think about it. Police
Mm-hmm.
always tend to push that away from families. We've had several police departments that have tried to change our family's mind. Don't get involved with that. Attorneys that have said that's taboo, that'll ruin the case. They don't realize how important it is to these family members to just have a sliver of peace and hope. Um, so that's enough for me in itself.
It's like heartwarming. It's like, it's the feel good at the end of it,
I've
Yeah.
had quite a few good cries, believe me.
right? Marie, do you have any like other questions, follow-up questions? I've been hogging again. Call myself out.
um, yeah, like I said, it's the healing part of it that I really like about this. It's the closure for the family because I know how trauma really gets into the person. It becomes their whole entire identity for as long as
Yes.
the unanswered, and their family member is gone. So yes, I am so glad that you are doing this work because the trauma alone and to release that, I can see the release of it, you know.
Yeah, I have a lot of families who have made this their life. 20 years of their life has been
Hmm.
trying to get someone to listen to them, trying to get the police to just test one more piece of evidence or reopen this part of the case or follow this lead, screaming at the mountaintop, somebody please hear me. Um, Again, our pilot episode falls into that category. Um, it's heartbreaking to see. I'm sure I don't have to tell you, but it is mind blowing how many cold cases and missing person cold cases are out there. It is. We would need 100 of us
Hmm.
to even get a drop in the bucket.
I mean, just investigation discovery is a whole channel dedicated
Yeah,
Yeah.
to to that.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that is my background noise while I'm like crocheting, to more missing
yes,
people. Thankfully, I'm of a mental awareness where it doesn't cause me to not want to leave my house, but um, I will say I kind of side eye now certain things that I might see in public, and I'm like, hmm, I saw that on an episode.
yeah,
We will not walk over there.
yes. Oh yes, yeah. I've had a lot of people in the last 10 years say to me, Jackie, I would have never thought to even see that from that point of view had we not had this conversation. It's scary. It's scary
Hmm.
how easily we let our guard down, how easily we trust. A lot of cold cases are people that are close to them that are the murderers. It is terrifying. Most of the time, it's someone that is closest to you,
Mhm,
Hmm.
more often than not. Um, when you really start to dig into it, it becomes a rabbit hole.
hmm. Well,
Yeah.
what does the name?
It's also an opportunity for the spirit to, hey, even though you can't see me, I'm still here, making
Yep.
them human again. And they
Yep.
have something to say. This is what happened. I need your help. And that is
Yep.
also peaceful for them. So they don't have to keep going through, I need you to hear me. I need you to hear me. I need you to, this is my story.
Yeah. Our pilot episode, and I keep talking about it because it is just magnificent. It is heartwarming. It is mind blowing. It is at the edge of your seat. Holy crap. Mind blowing. But Spirit took us on one hell of a ride. I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to give anything else away, but we were not prepared for the road trip we went on. I'll just say that. Sometimes they just want to talk and take you on
Hmm.
to places that have nothing to do with their crime,
Hmm.
nothing to do with it. And it is incredible. Every bit of it is incredible.
That's a whole other side quest question. I'm like, that might be another episode we have you on. Oh, what about this? Because I'm thinking of a book series that I read where she's got a young teenage boy who helps her investigate. And she sends him off to go gather. And I'm like, do any of the ghosts go around helping solve one another's murders? And like, well, we can probably get yours quicker. So let's go take care of that and then bring him back.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep. Yeah. Sometimes spirit just wants to talk and they have a lot to say and it is wild some of the things that come through. And sometimes they just want to tell you all about their life and not talk about their murder. And sometimes they want to sell their murderer right down the river and then talk about their life. Um, it took me a long time to really process what I was getting into. Um, I wanted to do it. I've always, for years before I started doing it, I've always been like, it'd be so cool if I could take my experience in my career and solve murders by using the paranormal assisting me. It was years I wanted to do it, and I spent years trying to figure out what would the best way to do it would be. Um, Nothing can prepare you for when you start actually getting into a case and you really start checking boxes that are like, holy crap, we have something here.
Mm.
And it's even more frustrating when you're like, hey, we have something here and you need to do something about it. And they're like, you're a crazy person. So it is an emotional roller coaster. I will say that.
I love the fact that you have somebody from the FBI on the team.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually an MSNBC consultant as well.
Okay.
So he's not just a random retired agent. He consults on MSNBC and Fox News.
Okay.
So we have some pretty incredible people in our arsenal, for sure.
You mentioned quickly, but Gregory Nicholas was like, "Hey, everyone!" So he's kind of listening as well. And for our local people, if you've been into the store, you know Greg.
Oh,
And
he's amazing, amazing.
so he's one of your psychic mediums going out to
He
these
is. He is. Every time I'm walking with him, it is electrifying. Electrifying.
Mhm.
He is electrifying, and I will scream it from the mountaintops. My whole body is like on fire when I'm walking with him, and he's hitting on stuff. It's like amazing.
He and Maria are two of my people. There's a couple more, but like anytime a skeptic is like walking in, they're like, "Yeah, I don't believe." I'm like, "Do me a favor, go sit right there for a second." And I'd be like, "Greg, what you get?" Maria, what you get? And they know that it's just me being a little bit petty because I'm like, we got a non-believer talking some smack. So do your thing for me, would you? And next thing you know, they're like, well, we're going in for a reading now. And I'm like, got it. So
Yeah, I mean, even with my own personal reading that I had with Greg, I mean, I was not prepared. And I've been doing this for 27 years and I still wasn't prepared. I still wasn't prepared. I'm very blessed. I am truly blessed to have the people that I work with stand beside me because this was ultimately my mission in the beginning by myself. And I was blessed I found people that were passionate and um, as excited about it as me. And over the last, 10 years or so, I have grown such an incredible friendship with the people that I work with. And they are all incredible and talented in their own way. And they all have something so important that they bring to the table. And Greg is magnificent. And I cannot wait for everyone to see him and Irene and Robert and Maria and Stacy and Katie just light up the show and really be able to show people that there is more out there than just what we see every day. Our minds, most people's minds are so closed. Um, and to be able to help people with what we do is sometimes too much for people to understand, but it is magnificent to watch everybody kind of come together and do their thing. So very excited. I'm very blessed.
now you mentioned earlier that you guys are refilming your pilot and you're filming some others and Forsaken Souls, you're anticipating to be out around fall time, right?
Yep.
So can you give us hints of what that pilot episode might be about? Does that have one of the families that were skeptical at first and then change their mind?
The pilot episode involves a family that reached out to me but it does involve a very tumultuous journey with the local police department. And we were led down a path that I don't think any of us were ready for. And till this day, I still am close with the family, and there's still more work that we need to finish doing to get certain things out there. That being said, the ending will definitely knock your socks off for sure. We weren't ready for it. I assure you, our viewers won't be ready for it. And the only parts that we're actually refilming is just the criminal investigative piece. All the original paranormal and the psychic walkthrough and all that stuff is original filming. Um, but we uncovered some more leads after the fact, and I said we need to add that in there. So it is exciting in itself. And then we go right into filming the second episode, which Greg will be leading that. So I am very excited to get both of our. Irene is actually in episode 1 and Greg is episode 2. And both are kind of pilot episodes because they're both going to be a little bit longer than the normal season episodes that we have. It's kind of like a 2-part premiere. And both cases are wild. They're just wild. Like I mean, nobody's prepared for a murder, but these cases really kind of go overboard with how things were. It's definitely not just cut and dry case for sure.
So the show's called Forsaken Souls.
It's actually called Speaking for the Silent.
There we go.
It's Forsaken Souls, and then dash Speaking for the Silent. We are hoping to do 10 episodes at minimum. And then we're going to be doing 2 like spooky season episodes as well. So kind of a 2 bonus series there.
Okay. And for all of our late coming friends, where can they find you again on all of your socials and keep track of when things are coming out? And
sure,
you guys.
Our TikTok and our Instagram are both Forsaken Souls _PRG. They can join me on Facebook at Jaclyn Loren or either one of our Facebook groups. One is Speaking for the Silent, and one is Forsaken Souls Paranormal Research. The Speaking for the Silent page is dedicated to the show itself, where Forsaken Souls Paranormal Research is dedicated to the show and our other work that we do. And we also have a YouTube page, which is Forsaken Souls _PRG. And they can also just follow me privately on Facebook, and I can lead them to all our updated information as well.
I'm excited. What networks might we be keeping an eye out for, if you're allowed to say?
I can say we'll be on Amazon, and there is one network that I am not allowed to say yet, but it is huge.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being able to join us and sharing your good work and everything.
Thank you.
Doing with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I haven't mentioned yet. We decided, because of your work and the million times I bugged you in text and chat, that the Healers Network, we're actually helping sponsor you guys because we love what you guys are doing.
I wasn't sure if I could say anything, so I was getting ready to kind of put a cue out there. Yes, I am so grateful for your sponsorship, and we are excited to be able to add you to our promos and banners and make sure that we get your information out there on all of our episodes and in our credit reels, and lots to come. I'm very excited about our partnership, and I can't thank you enough. And I know the families that will benefit from this also can't thank you enough.
Oh. Well, thanks for joining, everybody. And thank you again, Jaclyn. It's been
Thank you.
A really great conversation. And we hope our friends keep an eye out for the show when it airs. So keep an eye on that Amazon for that new show.
Yes.
Well, have a great night, everybody. We will see you guys for the next corner.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Okay, that was the end of the podcast. We're still live. There's a couple other questions that I didn't want to interrupt our podcast because I didn't want to have to edit it out. That's me being lazy.
Totally get it. I hate editing. I
Now
totally
we
get
can be
it.
loosey goosey and say swear words because that's not a podcast. Chair was asking, did you ever have a case where one family member was oh, you did mention that. Where's the one? She's like, spirit ever give her a specific instruction, like check under the bed for a metal box? Like, have they given you that specific type of thing?
Oh yes. Yeah. Again, the pilot episode is a great example. Spirit not only took us on a full 2-day tour of his life, but also gave us direct location of where we can find evidence that we will feature in the pilot episode.
Oh, damn. They're like, the hammer that they hit me with is right over there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty incredible. It is pretty incredible. That's how we uncovered the second murder, actually.
Oh, man. And Cher had a little joke, and I'm like, I don't want to laugh right now during the podcast. She's like, when she was like, is that admissible in court? She's like, Your Honor, I'd like to call Paul Turgeis to the witness stand.
I'd like to call Spirit up to the witness stand, please. Break the portal out. Spirit, raise your right hand.
And this was an interesting one. She's like, do you ever meet living people but give you like dead soul vibes? Like there was a gentleman in the store who I'm like, you're not even from this planet. I don't know what you are. You are wrong. You need to get out and quit hovering over my young female, and he was one of the first people that would come in. Like I could energetically kind of push people out and he would just barrel through. And I'm like, what are you?
Oh yeah. I've had people that I've brushed up against and taken on emotion that is not mine. I've had people that I look in their eyes and it's just dead.
Mm-hmm.
I have come across a lot of bad people in my career and also in this field. And I should not be surprised by things anymore, but I am still very surprised by humans. I am more afraid of humans than I am spirit. I say it all the time. I will hang out with the dead all day long.
That's what I always tell my kids. I like the dead. The living
And
is the one that
animals.
scares. Yeah,
That's
animals
right.
too.
The dead and animals, I'm all good. Lock me away with them. I'm good.
Do you believe in demons or is it just really bad humans out there?
Oh no, there are very dark forces at play that I have unfortunately encountered that I wouldn't wish people to experience, even my worst enemy to experience. Is it often that experience happens? No, I think there are a lot more pissed off, angry spirits that like to play games than there are dark entities or demons, but they're out there. Um, I follow Father Rehill, which is one of the most world renowned exorcists. And he will tell you that for every one person that's in the room, there is a demon and an angel. And the demon is off in the corner in the shadows, silent, consistently watching, absorbing everything that human is, learning everything about them, their fears, their love, everything. The angel's there to protect. But that demon is just absorbing everything of that human's existence, waiting for that perfect moment to strike, maybe 100 years, but they're just absorbing. That really was for me, it was very hard to hear that because to put that in that kind of perspective, that's horrifying. It's horrifying. Is it true? I have no clue. But if it is, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get a lot of people coming into the store and they're like, oh my God. They're like, well, first you're going to think I'm crazy. I'm like, do you see where you are?
Right. Welcome to crazy.
Yeah. Like, we have cookies over here and coffee. But when I get a lot of people coming in and they're like, there's demons. And the more you talk with them, and I'm like, I don't say it out loud to them, but I'm like, my question is, I'm like, are you in the therapy that you need?
Yeah.
Medication are you not on? I find that has been more the case, and I'm like, well, it kind of makes sense because they're coming into a place looking for help, right?
Right.
So they feel it's a spiritual thing, and and I'm like, I'm honored that you felt safe to come in here and ask that. And then I'm looking at Lucinda, who works with mentally ill and disabled, and I'm looking at her like taking notes, right? Like, who do we need to call right now?
Yeah.
Um,
We me and my ex my former partner who started Forsaken Souls with me, um prior to getting into cold cases, that's what we did. We did house calls and focused more on dark entity and very dark energy cases. And then we worked directly with the Vatican and the Archdiocese to properly cleanse or exercise or whatever was necessary. And there's a full intake form that you have to perform in order for the Vatican to even accept the case. And there's a huge piece of it that goes into mental health and wellness. Um, and some of the questions are very invasive.
mm,
Um, but that's kind of the church's thing where they feel that they need to rule that out, and it's very hard to sometimes tell what's what.
mhm.
That's where the investigative part comes into play. Um, but what we can't see sometimes can be very terrifying. So
Mhm.
I think it would take many lifetimes to learn enough to be able to definitively say what's out there.
I agree. That's why sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I could see more. It's like perception, the knowing, and I'm like, it would be really cool just to see. And then there's times where I'm like, I'm kind of glad I don't. Kind of glad I don't.
Yeah, I've had some terrifying encounters. More younger when I was younger. A lot more visual stuff when I was younger. That
Mm,
still till this day raises the hair on my neck. Um, I feel like the more we try not to focus on it, obviously we see less. But that being said, there's been too much that I have seen to where I'm like, I can't ignore it. I can't say that there aren't things out there that are very terrifying.
mhm.
Um, it's just not as common as people think.
Yeah,
Far more not common than it is common.
right,
Mhm.
right. I've always been like organized religion. I'm like political, whatever. But I've always been like fascinated with the whole exorcism thing and like the Solomonic high magic stuff and how and why it works and everything. It's just so fascinating, to me. Um, I'm like, what kind of cool job title would that be? Like, I kick demon ass, and here and why and all of this. And probably because I read The Exorcist at a very young age.
Yeah, right?
But and then later on when you learn, it's like, oh, it's actually because of this murder that happened here, and there really was no
Mhm.
good demonic stuff, and that was just the Warrens and everything. And I was like, oh, that deflated the whole like the Amityville right out the window.
Well, if you get a chance, look up the podcast, The Sean Ryan Show. He's actually a former Navy SEAL. Is usually a military podcast, but he had a very enlightening experience in his life that caused him to do a specific podcast where he had Father Rehill come on to
Hmm.
his show, and it was dedicated all towards his experience, the paranormal and exorcisms, and Father Rehill's experiences. There's never been more of a captivating moment where I was listening to this man and the things he was saying, because this is a 100% certified exorcist for Rome talking, and to hear the things he's saying, you got to watch it. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
Okay.
It is truly crazy.
I will have to text you and be like, spell his name for me because I just spelled it wrong in Apple Podcasts. That they're like, we don't know what you're talking about.
It should be Reehill, I believe.
Okay.
Or if you just look up Sean Ryan Show Exorcist and it'll come up. It's a podcast on YouTube.
Because our phones listen to one another, to our devices, and as you said that, it typed in the Sean Ryan Show, and I'm like, look at you, and that's kind of scary.
Yeah,
I love it when it's like FBI, military, when they're like, there's more to the woo woo, because it's not, badass, right? So, but we're gonna pay attention to it now, and I'm like, yeah, I thought so. Now if I could get all of you military war vets to get on the table and let's do some healing work.
That's right.
They're fantastic.
That's right. That's right.
That the VA actually recognizes Reiki now and offer it in some of their clinics, and I'm like, we're making small steps.
Oh wow, nice! I did not know that. Awesome.
But well, I'm excited for the show to come out, and
thank you. Me too.
So much fun at Greg after the second episode comes out, and the next time I see him in the store after that. And actually, I probably text him the whole time, and I'm like, you just tripped, didn't you? And they had to cut that out.
He's incredible. He is so remarkable. He just amazes me every time. There's never a moment where I'm not amazed.
Yeah, he's really, really good at what he does. And I'm glad the first time he walked in the store and asked to do, an interview read, because it's one of the rules that I have. You do not read in my store, and you do not read under our name unless you sit down and do an interview read, because I want to know you're on the up and up with it.
Right.
And he wasn't halfway through, and I'm like, oh, he's in. He's good. He's in. But we'll just finish, because that would be rude to interrupt. But you're in.
Right. Right.
Oh
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He had me crying during my reading. Yeah. He's magical.
Maria, you make people cry too. You're mean. You make people cry.
It's a release. It's an emotional purge.
That's right. That's right.
That's what it is.
I hear the swing, the bat and everything in the room. They just don't think.
Yeah, it's an ongoing joke whenever I have a client and they come out of the room or they're crying, and it was a release.
You made another one cry. Oh my God, we're gonna get complaints. Here come the negative reviews because you made them cry, Maria.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, Maria, did you have any questions before we wrap up for real this time? I just wanted to get those questions out that people had asked, but I didn't want to interrupt the continuity of the podcast part. So, do you have?
No, I mean it's like when the show airs, and because this is going to be live on every corner of the world. If there are people who were around at that event or that chaos thing that was happening to that person, and they might have information, are they able to contact you also on one of
Absolutely.
those channels? Okay.
Yep, we actually have information that will roll at the end to say if you have any information on our cases, as well as if you have a case that you'd like us to look into, here's our contact info.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you mean what we're doing tonight or the case, Chair Bear? Chair Bear is one of our friends. She's over in Ireland. So,
oh, wow. Awesome.
So one of these days we will the case.
Okay.
So will you have info on the case over on your YouTube as well?
Yep.
Awesome. Chair, how does Amazon work over there? Do you guys have Amazon that you would be able to watch it? I'm assuming they're like a juggernaut everywhere.
We have some other things in the works as well for other, streaming networks and channels to where it's national and international.
Nice. Very nice. I'm excited. Now we just have to wait for full time.
I know.
Sorry. Well, you're going to get a little bit more of an inside take, and you are welcome to join us at any time on a case as well.
I mean, if you are close enough, I have a car I can drive. I have a car. I mean, like Maria, get in. We're taking a day or two, off of the work. Uh, although I will say, for some stupid reason, ghosts and other types of things tend to run away when I'm around. Haven't figured it out yet. Um, I don't know if that would be helpful or not. Maria has not told me why, because I'm like, Maria, why? And she just laughs at me. But I mean, there's like, even in Arizona, because I go for the gym show every year, and I've got friends down there who started in Ohio who moved. And it's been years, because like little kids that were itty bitty, they weren't even all born yet in Ohio. And now there's like 4 wonderful, young ladies that are their kids. And, they're like, hey, when you come, can you come take a look at the house? And I'm like, why? And as I would be driving in and turning into their like neighborhood, I would just see these things leaving. And I'm like, did you see that? And they're like, what? And I'm like, never mind. And we get into the house and I could see everything that would have been happening, but they left as we were coming in. And I'm like, well, if I could really cultivate that, I'm sure I could use that much more effectively. Figuring out how and why that is. But I also don't have a fear that I probably should. I'm like, I'm going to get thrown through a wall at some point, probably, because I don't have that fear of the paranormal as I probably should.
That's how I am. That's how I am.
So I'm like, it might happen one of these days. I might get just, tossed. The reverse of like that Mortal Kombat. What's the character that they pulls you? Scorpio. He's like, come here, and it would be the opposite. Like, but yeah, I would love to join you guys and like not get in the way and just like fangirl from the side.
Yeah, you are more than welcome to anytime.
Maria, I'll kidnap you. You have to come too. And,
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. Well, I'm sure you have had a long day of work and maybe cold case working and filming and prepping, and I'm sure you would like your downtime. And
thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you. And like I said,
Yeah, thank you.
So glad you were able to join kind of last minute for tonight.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure.
All right. Well, have a great night. And again,
you as well.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.